And the funny story here was that David Pike actually met Grace Hopper. Can you take a moment and just, how did you meet her? What
Yeah.
are you, 90?
Well, I guess I should confess I am a vampire, and I am 90. So yeah, no, it was back in the 80s, and I think it was probably about 88. I was in Washington, D.C., 87, 88, and she gave a talk, and I knew who she was because I had introduction to COBOL in college just a couple years, and I was thrilled to get to go hear her. For some reason, I was terrified that somehow she knew I had gotten a C in that COBOL class and was going to point me out and shame me in front of everyone, but she didn't mention it if she did know.
I'm sure she knew. I'm sure she knew. And she was disappointed.
Yeah. Besides, it was probably a gentleman's C, right?
I was lucky to get a C. She was probably proud of me just for getting that much.
Yeah, that's what they give it. That's what they call a gentleman's C, where they just give you a C because they feel sorry for you.
So you don't take the class again, probably in my
exactly. Don't even try.
Well, what was it
Go
like?
to another field.
What was it like meeting her? Was she like a
honestly,
celebrity back then?
She was to me, because we'd learned about her in class, and it was exciting that she was, somebody you learn about in school and then get to meet in person. And she was terrific. She was, she died, I think, in 92. So it was toward the end of her life, and she was probably in her 80s at that talk, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, she was fantastic. She said two things that I remember that stuck with me. One was that as a woman in the 50s, even though she had rank in the military, she still felt the pressure, and she had to write the program that she wrote, COBOL. She had to write that to work in five different languages, 5 different spoken languages. So she said she had to overprove that this worked, which is amazing when you think about the transformative effect that COBOL had really on our society. We don't really think about it, but it ran, I don't know, hundreds of payroll processing and accounting systems in business organizations for decades, and still does in some places.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the reason she's so famous with COBOL and Fortran, she wrote 2 programs. Well, that was the first human-computer interface. Before her, there was no compiler. If you wanted to program a computer, you was going to do it in machine code. That was the only way to do it, by going in there and actually understanding how a machine worked. And she was the one who did that interface, so anybody could become a computer programmer without becoming a hardware person. Before, if you're going to write a program, you had to be a hardware person. Right? You had to know how the innards work. So that and there was a lot of debate with her that they didn't want people writing they wanted it to be the domain of engineers, not the domain of software people. So it was, but that's what broke the dam and made computing available to everybody with this compiler concept. And she's the one who did it. And you're right, she did it on her own.
That's amazing. That's amazing stuff. That's so cool that you got a chance to meet her.